Most common hand tools that I load in my VETO. This is a VETO MP2X, and it's got to be one of the better VETOs. If I'm going to call it a slot, the handle needs to be sticking out. I need to be able to grab the tool, and I need to be able to use it when I'm ready for it. How does retention really work if I'm not holding it here? Common hand tools that I grabbed for in 2024.
Shout out to Ox Boots. Get them Amazon 7-day free trial, no risk. Go try them out. They've got the zip on and off. They're very convenient. Ox wanted to see them more in the field. This is the best that I got. I'm an electrical inspector. They do zip on and off very easily. They are comfortable. Try them if you guys want. Let's get back to the video.
It's kind of nice, actually. A lot of support. Maybe preferred for the job site because you get that ankle support. I don't really wear lace-ups because they don't slip on and off very easily. But I have a feeling with these laced up, the zipper is going to be a game changer. So they are fully laced up. Zip this down. And that is kind of cool. Don't have to touch the laces, but you get the benefit. Trying, you just zip them up. Okay, we're going to be wearing these for a while. If you see this review, I will have worn these for at least 2 weeks to a month. I'll probably put some links down below, that way you guys can find all this stuff. We're going to be loading up this VETO, and then we'll load up this Mellow Tough. This thing's like $60, maybe $80 less than the VETO. We're going to be loading them both up, and I'm going to show you some of these tools are basically for installation only. Some of them fall in the category of service work and installation if you're trying to add plugs and things. So a handful of these are useful, but not all of them are useful in every scenario. I'm going to show you why I chose them, and we're going to use them and demonstrate. So let's get started. First off, we've got a level. What's good with a level, if you are installing a receptacle or a switch brand new and you want to make sure that it's level and aesthetically pleasing. Other than that, for typical troubleshooting and service call, not really going to be that useful, but definitely makes a place in my bag just because at the end of the day, it's electrical. There's not too many different ways that you can do it. Either it's right or it's wrong. If you install something that's not level, in my book, it's wrong. Is it still going to work? Yes. But the quality is where it comes into play in my mind. Anybody can do the work. Not everybody can execute the craftsmanship that's going to get the call back. So for that reason, a level is a must in my set of tools. Now, your VETO, when you first buy it, is not going to fit a level or a lot of these tools. You've got to shape and craft and have these tools in and out of your pouch and use them often to where they start to kind of mold to fit what you're trying to get in your VETO, or really any tool bag for that matter. This one's kind of conformed where I can put just about any tool I want to wherever I want to because of the whole year that I've been using this thing. This definitely wears more like iron, and it's a really underrated tool pouch just because it's $100. A lot of people look at that and say, I don't need a $100 tool pouch. I was kind of right there with you, especially when the Mellow Tough is a fraction of the cost, but this thing seriously helps you on service calls. It holds all the tools that you need. It's not too big. A lot of the VETOs, they don't crush, they don't fold, they don't fit where you want them to, but it's a really good pouch and definitely worth $100. So we got a level in here. Next up, this has become a must for me. This is by far one of the best screwdrivers that I've ever used. The fit is true on this. They are not the quick change type of bits that you're used to seeing. Sounds weird, but there's a reason why there's a lag in my setup, and it is for this reason. The tips on these screwdrivers are like true screwdriver tips. Somebody asked me on a comment, are these conductive through and through? The answer is yes. This is one solid piece of steel, and then they have coated it with the 1000-volt material. So keep that in mind. I pull these things apart a lot as little pry bars, or even just to tighten the device screws. They spin really nicely in your hand. This set I think is like $50, and it does come with all three. And it also comes with individual ones that you can just plug into the screwdriver without the double-sided. one of the best buys you guys will make, man. They are fitted, they are true, they work well in every situation, and I can't imagine not having this with me on a service call. It's the most grabbed tool, I think, ever, not just for 2024. So it gets a spot in the tool belt, and then you get your extra storage bits here or here. We might move around a couple of these as I load this thing up. One of the most useful tools that you're ever going to use is a pair of clines as an electrician. Now, these clines are very special. They're 2000 series. They have a crimper and a fish tape puller built in. And yes, it's a true fish tape puller, not like Milwaukee's fish tape puller. And yes, it does work. I've used 6 different pairs of these throughout my career since 2007. They just last. Okay, very, very, very good tool to have. I'm going to put it down here so that way it doesn't sit higher than this line here. If I put it up here, you're going to see where it's going to sit just a little bit taller. So I like to get it down as low as I can. Now, if you're doing a lot of troubleshooting, especially if you're doing solar, a lot of service call work, not necessarily installation work, you're going to be using diagonals a lot. When you do installation, you don't really use diagonals too much. But for service call and things, cutting wires off the back of plugs, and then because you're not going to reuse the wire that's been in the plug for years, you're going to cut, restrip, get to fresh copper before you land that termination. I hope you guys are doing
right
that,
in there.
by the way.
Listen.
You always want to have fresh copper. You got to have diagonals. And then the fulcrum on them just gets you in the back of that box a little bit more. They act like a fulcrum, like a level. These are also the 2000 series. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, man. I've used these for too long. If they're not better than the Knipex, they're comparable. That's all I'm going to say at that. They are very reliable, very tried and true, good quality hand tools from Klein. Now we come to our strippers, and the strippers is a very hot topic here. So we got to demonstrate the strippers here. We're going to start with what I thought was the best thing since sliced bread, and then I'm going to explain why these don't have a place in this tool pouch. For the first 2 years of this channel, this is what I was highly recommending, and I still do highly recommend these. These are fantastic. So let's look how they strip. We've come a long way with wire strippers. We've got forged wire strippers now. That's what these are. And they're also a number of things. These are great, but there's a reason why these are in the tool pouch and these aren't. Let me explain. So we're going to strip way back here, which would kind of be a task. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little curve in here just to impress you guys. And we're on number 12. And you can see it just strips really impressively from Klein. Klein's not known for their strippers. They're known for their strippers, but not good strippers. They're known for their consumable, buy them once and then they're done kind of strippers. I've also got some other strippers behind me. And I got a couple of tools behind me I might add to this mix as we go. Now these strippers here, these are not forged. These are stamped. Big difference here. This is what everyone's kind of known as the strippers for years now. See how the teeth or the cutters, they kind of close and they just kind of do like this scissor action here. This is more of what I call like a cross kind of shearing action where you get some overlap, kind of like almost like a pair of loppers for like cutting limbs and stuff. Got a lot of leverage on these. And these are great if I was installing, if I was in construction and I was doing a lot of bigger wire and bigger joints and stuff. We probably wouldn't be talking about any of these strippers that I'm showing you right now. I'm showing you what I grabbed for the most in 2024 and what I recommend. These go up to number 8, which is very useful, especially when you're installing. I'd probably take off the V cutter here. This is kind of just for show, but this strips the Romex right down the middle. It's kind of cool. But these are a stamped set, and they're not that expensive. They're like 20 bucks. And when they break, because they will within a year, You go buy another pair and you're happy because they're small. They fit in your back pocket. They fit in your smallest little tool pouch. You've always got them on you and you got a pair of good strippers. That's basically what these are good for. When you're installing in a new construction and you got tile backsplash, you need to cut the screws that come a little bit long, so you cut the screws shorter. That way you can screw them into the box and do whatever you got to do. They got the screw cutters there, and they're just a really good high leverage, good cutting pair of pliers for installations. These are just one of the better pairs of pliers you can get for everyday use in construction, especially commercial, that are going to do everything you want to do. They're not going to last for that long. They're going to cut, they're going to strip. They go up to number 8 as well, and that's why they're on this list. But they are not going to be what I grabbed in 2024. They're what I purchased to show you guys what's out there for construction. These are very good, as you can see, and they cut very nicely. They also flip, which is really important. I had a buddy ask me, what is the flipping you're talking about? Well, if I want to cut closer to my finger here, cutting on this side of my pliers doesn't really work too good. So you flip them, and then you can cut close to your finger. And that's the piece right there. So it is important to have your pliers flip. It's important to have flared out handles, things like that. These things are going to do everything you want to do very comfortably, and they are smaller and they do fit just about anywhere in your tool pouch. They disappear. Really, really good option from Klein all around the board. But this is what I grabbed the most of. It's actually these, and I'm going to explain why, but first I got to show you the Knipex. We're going to get the Knipex out. Now these seem to be everybody's favorite, rightfully so. They are a very nice pair of kind of everything, but that's where they kind of fall short. There's a couple of things that they're lacking, things that Knipex does that I wish they would kind of adopt that Klein does very well. They kind of do too much, and they're more for UK wiring, but that's okay. They are still very useful installation pliers, no doubt about it. They cut like the absolute smoothest. These things will cut MC beautifully. They have the overlapping cut with kind of that. I mean, just look at them, man. They mean business. They're going to cut whatever you want them to cut. They strip also nicely. This is why I don't particularly like them. So we'll do a couple of bumps in this, like this. We got to look at them now, and we got to know where the 12 stranded is versus the 12 solid versus the 14 solid and all that stuff. So right now we are on the solid 12 here, which is the second last. So they've really only got 3 useful sizes, just like most strippers. Keep in mind, these don't matter if it's solid or stranded. It doesn't matter which way they're facing. Whatever you do, they're going to strip whatever size wire you want. There is no solid or stranded side with these, which is why I love these for installation. So we're on the solid 12 side right there, and we get a nice strip on them. Beautiful, right? You got to open them up. You got to set them way back here to strip it. Once you get it set, they are going to strip nice. They're going to cut nice. They shear the screws. This is why they're kind of a loss to me, right? They're not very good at making up joints. They don't really, they fully close for one. So anytime you fully close your pliers, you lose a little bit of leverage. You can see where these are slightly open. These are pretty much fully closed. So when you grab wire, you're already kind of fighting these to stay closed, whereas if they started open a little bit, it would be less squeeze, if that makes sense. If we were to pull on this, because we can, they just kind of slide off. And I was, squeeze them pretty tight. They really don't have a lot of grip for twisting around wire. They're not cross-hatched like a lot of your other pliers. And I feel like if they're going to have this, they need to deliver on this, because other than that, they're just a pair of strippers that cuts really good. That's basically all they are. Also, they don't have flared out handles, and that comes into play. So we got the flared out handles for our pinky, where we can catch and we can flip, and that flare right there helps a lot with retention. And they're not very good beaters. So we got a lot going on for these pliers that don't really fit my installation needs. Some people love them. That's my reasons there. Also, we got a weird kind of opening there. They should have just kept that shut. That's like for like nuts or something. It's really strange. It really is. Not really made for American wiring. Good installation pliers if you're running MC. Knock out some boxes. Grab the knockouts, twist them, pull them, whatever you're doing, right? Good pliers for commercial installation, no doubt. Good pliers for installers. Not so great for and rewiring stuff in boxes and actively, actually terminating the wire. Not the best. Good for Wagos, not good for wire nuts. Good for just about everything. But again, a reason why they didn't make it in here, I'm going to explain in a second. We're going to show you my favorite pair. They do have pros and cons. First, the handles don't flare out. They stay very skinny. And if you're going to do this, they better be skinny enough to where they're low profile. So don't not flare up my handles and still not make them low profile. The biggest issue with these is that this catch here sometimes gets stuck shut while you're using them, which can be pretty irritating, as you can imagine, right? I've grinded off the little thumb flicks here. You just busted them off. That way I don't accidentally engage them. So it's a lot easier to use them. This thing stays down here. They cut really nicely. They got that shearing design there. They've even kind of got an installation aspect to them where they do ream for a quick ream. If you're using your channel locks for the outside, you want to use these for the inside. They do legitimately do that. They are forged, so they're going to last longer. They're like 20 bucks. These are like 60. So there is that. They don't fully close on the backside. They're open to actually grab wire. So they do needle nose things very nicely. And if we went to really pull on these, you can see where we do get a little bit more leverage. Actually, I couldn't even. They got better grip than the Knipex. And that's because they don't stay flat. They kind of taper there, so we get a bite there and a bite there. And all around they're just good. They're not crosshatched for makeup, and they're not trying to be. They're trying to do something else. They're needle nose pliers. So this is huge because now we don't need needle nose pliers. I've got needle nose pliers here, and if I had to pick some, this is what I would pick because they're skinny and they got a lot of reach compared to a lot of other pairs of needle nose. And they just do needle nose things beautifully. So when I want to grab the fish stick that's in the back of the hole that I've fished up, or the Romex that I've kind of snaked through or something, these are really nice because they open up just enough, but they're still kind of closed down here to where they're not too wide to fit into whatever hole that I've drilled. Whereas some of these start off really wide. These aren't needle nose, but just as a comparison, use your imagination here. You can see where they're just a really useful set of pliers to have that are made very nicely. I think they're just beautiful, honestly. And Weeaw's really killing it with some of their designs. But if we want to look at the stripping power of these, and that's what's different about this channel, man. If you guys are still here and you appreciate, the real talk and just the actual use of the pliers so you can appreciate why I'm making my decisions, shout out to you guys because you're still here. Some people, they get behind the camera and they're just like, I like these because they do this and I use them a lot. But they haven't really compared them to anything, and they don't really show why they say they like them. You can offset this thing like crazy. So you can see the stripping capability of these. But we're going to set these onto the solid number 12 side. And then, by the way, we go up to number 8 on these. So we've got 14, 12, 10, and 8 on these, as well as needle nose, as well as reamers, as well as screw shears. And man, they are great, just all around, just great. It's one less tool that you have to carry on your pouch, and they absolutely make it in my list of tools that I grabbed in 2024 the most. So let's get this on the number 12. We're going to strip it way back here just to make sure everyone's good and happy. And we should get a nice strip on this. Yeah, just right off of that. Look at that. Look at all the bends in that. I don't know if you guys understand like the 3D-ness of this, but it's not straight. I mean, you can see they strip really, really good, guys. Just as good as the Knipex. Maybe even better than both the Klein and the Knipex, but they definitely have a place in my toolbox, and I hate Milwaukee hand tools. I really do. Now, why didn't these make it in my pouch if they're so great? Because we could eliminate a lot of tools with these, you know, just having these. We could eliminate a lot of tools, even strippers, but we don't have needle nose. So you gotta have needle nose for certain situations, and I'm still gonna have to have needle nose in here anyway. So I've already got strippers, so we don't need strippers. And then in the situation where you've only got about this much wire hanging out of a box, you need as much leverage as you can get and the best quality joints that you can get in that situation, especially on existing homes and things. You're gonna want a full pair of Kleins that do what they do best, man. Make proper joints for your customers. We don't need any halfway joints. New construction, these are great because we've got definitely more than 6 inches of free conductor. We just pull the wire ourselves, so we know we're gonna have a possible way to make up a good joint. You know, they're crosshatched just like they should be. And they are great, but when it comes to existing things, I want as much leverage and as good as a quality as I can get for the customer. So I carry the full-size Kleins. I was carrying around both, and I found myself actually needing to grab these more, and these slowly stopped getting used as much. If you're installing, these are great. If you're doing what I'm talking about, these are still great, but they're not the best. I want the best for the customer. That's why I went with the full size. Something that I picked up recently, little mini loppers that have a lot of leverage. They're kind of cool. They cut some really big wire, and they say made in the USA, which is pretty cool. These are the, what are these? J63215s. They're like little mini sized cutters. They're kind of cool. Not in my pouch, but on the table. Pretty cool pliers there. We go with the Milwaukee Fastback because I've been using the Milwaukee Fastback for way too many years to try something else. It just works. I haven't found anything wrong with it. If anyone's got any other recommendations, the Klein one's kind of cool. I like things with blade storage. So the first Klein that I picked up didn't have blade storage, and bummer. So got the blade storage, got magnets to keep them in place, and then just one-handed, flip it up when you need it. Nice thumb groove there. Good leverage on your thumb there, nice and compact. Clip doesn't, you know, attack your jeans. That's when this first came out. That was like Milwaukee saying, we're gonna make clips that don't attack your jeans, like some other clips do if you were in these, you know, every day. And they stayed true to that. And I gotta say, I don't have Mars on my jeans. I'm still wearing a tape measure down there, so you still turn up your jeans, but. Just tried and true, man. The Milwaukee stuff, they know what they're doing when it comes to their fastbacks. What size Knipex do we go with? Do we go with the full size? Do you go with the medium? Hard to say, man. If you're installing conduit, you're definitely going to want the bigger size, but you do not want to be on a job site without at least some kind of pair of Knipex. So we've got these are the 8701 180s, and I can't remember exactly. I think they're like the 6.5 or something. They're tiny. They have just as much leverage. A little bit too small for my hands, but they fit in the pouch and they fit really well, and that's where they go. Now the full size also fits. So I've also got the full size because these are the best channel lock pliers. They call them pump pliers, the tongue and groove, whatever you want to call them, slip joint. Dude, you can't get better than these. So if you need pliers for conduit, this is the one to get. Now you can see this VETO fits even this size nicely. And I could just carry these. Gets a little bit bulky, harder to slide in the drawer. I'm going to show you the pack out or the mod box that I carry every day too, if I go on a job site or if I go on a service call. And that's what we got there. Now this is something that I actually needed the other day. I didn't even have it on me. I had to stop what I was doing and go get it. It wasn't a big deal because it was in the box, but it just was not on my person. But this is a beading screwdriver. It's not often you need a beading screwdriver in residential, but the boxes in my house are metal and I needed to do a knockout, and it was pretty high leverage, and I needed this thing. Didn't have it. Kind of bummed me out that I was caught off guard, but if you need a beading screwdriver, this is their 604DD for demolition driver, and it's got that flared out head on there to prevent you from, not hitting the right parts. Stops you from slipping up. Just a really, really good screwdriver. I went ahead and put my conduit reamer on it just like I do all my demolition drivers, and it's hexed for that reason, so the Allen wrenches sit on it. The conduit reamer is the 19352, and man, this is a deadly combo if you're trying to install conduit. It's really, really good. So the toss-up is these three here. Should have one more. Which one did I grab the most? This was my go-to when it first came out. Oh man, I was loving this thing, dude. It had the bit storage, right? So you had your bit. You flip this thing around, put a bit in there, deeper for actual nuts, for nut setting, and then this for drivers, because the drivers actually fit deep in here with retention from the magnet. Then you got the carousel of bits, and then it spins in your hand like a control screwdriver. It's got good, grasp on it because it's a thicker handle. Something happened the other day when I was using this. It was the only tool that I had with me. I was opening a panel, and this thing managed to get sideways. So this thing started to get sideways. I didn't know it, and I installed this thing somehow in limbo in between where it should be. I don't know what happened. Debris got in there or what happened, but dude, this thing was stuck like Chuck, I'm telling you, and I could not pull it off physically. I had to take the top of the panel and do like this number, to get it off, and smash it on the top of the panel, and then pull it off, get it off the ground, and then use it. But ever since then, it almost got me stuck, right? I would have to go to the store to go get a screwdriver if I couldn't have done what I needed to do, because I'm an inspector, so I had to open up this panel. Didn't have what I needed, so I started carrying this every day. And then this also has a carousel of bits, and let me tell you, man, these bits fit like they were molded when the screw was made, okay? These things are a precision fit. All of the lines on this thing are parallel. All the lines are parallel. Like, understand what I'm saying. They are not tapered at all. They fit every fastener. They do it well, okay? The knurling on this thing, absolutely a joy to use. It's got ratcheting built in. It's not that heavy. It's got a good grip to it. But then the handle started spinning on me, okay? And I can't recommend tools to you guys if the handle's gonna spin. I still carry it every day, and the handle still spins in my hand every day when I get on certain fasteners. It's a really good set. It fits very well. It's great for terminations. But this screwdriver here does everything I need to do. So I carry this every day, but not in this pouch. But really, really good honorable mention. It's a good screwdriver. Don't let the handle stop you. Someone told me to spray some hairspray on this and see if it'll grab onto it. I think it's like a trick that people with handlebars for bicycles and stuff I think that's a trick that they do. We're going to have to do it live if we do it. Or I'm going to have to film it when I do it. But other than that, man, it's an unmatched, really new to the whole market design of just everything. The bit retention doesn't have a ball detent. It's got kind of almost like a leaf spring in there. And it is just a really, really well designed driver, except for the grip. They can put any other grip on it. Maybe they can go with a bigger shaft here and do this kind of grip on it. This one doesn't seem to spin yet. I don't know. I use this a lot, but I got the grip spinning pretty quickly in its life cycle. So let me know if your Klein grips are spinning or not. And yeah. Then we had this. So this is the HVAC 8-in-1. Klein is really bad about labeling these things that electricians would love to use. For electricians, HVAC. So you can find these in the HVAC aisle at Home Depot. You can find the Malco bits. If you're wondering where's everyone buying the Malco bits, go to the plumbing aisle at Home Depot. That's where you get the Malcos. Okay. This screwdriver is basically the best of both worlds, because what happens when you take apart a 10-in-1 is that all the pieces tend to go everywhere, and while you're trying to use the 5/16, you're holding all the little pieces with you. So by far the most used thing with your 10-in-1 that you lose all your pieces for is because you're pulling it out to use the 5/16. So they did something really smart here. They've got the 5/16 permanently installed with a magnet built in, and then it switches to 1/4 inch just by pushing up and down. It's called the Klein slide drive, and it's really smart. It's really, really smart. Then you've only got one bit to turn, which would be your Phillips or your flathead, most common sizes, because you've already got trims and all the things that you need. So this is a really, really good option for screwdrivers. But it still didn't really make it in this list. I think that this is more useful. It's also a bit holder, and you get all the bit storage here for your drills and whatever you're trying to do. This is what made it in my tool pouch that I reached the most for, and it sits right there, and it fits really good. That's what we have so far. Next up, this is a must. This is a must. If you don't own one of these, go buy one now. They're the Volt Claw. I don't ever say that about very many things on this channel. It's so good, man. It's so good. How many times have we taken the back of our Kleins and just tried to cram wires in the back of the box? We had a deeper GFCI. We got the deeper USB receptacles out now. Oh my God, those things are so deep. Game changer, man. Game changer. It's got the notch on the top and the notch on the side, and it grabs wire like you can even get it at an angle like this. It's good. It's good. The grip on it fits your fingers really nicely. It bangs really well. I've beat on it so many times that I've started like separating it down here. I don't think I've ever fully separated it, but you'll see where that does happen down there. Just beat it back into submission. That's what I do. I've had this for a couple of years now, and it is solid. It's glass fiber, I believe, I think is what it sounds like. If we wanted to, yeah, it's made to last. Definitely made to last. Great tool. Grabs wire, manipulates wire. Under freaking rated. It actually takes a whole screwdriver slot out of what I could have had for a screwdriver. It's that good. Now, something that we do not need, but is really nice, especially if you do a lot. And this could be a needed tool. I grabbed for it a lot, but I didn't have to, right? All these tools I had to use at some point. Didn't have to use this tool, but man, it is nice because you've got your trim and a full-size number 2 here. So let that sink in. They didn't give you the 1/4 inch trim. They gave you the 3/16. It's made for exactly what I'm telling you, and it is very easy to use. Take trim plates off, install receptacles. You don't have to pull out your drill. You get all the the feel and the tightness to see how tight the screw is. You're not over tightening anything. A lot of control with this thing, and it's fast. It's one of those tools that's really smart, and I usually call them like a wobble or an offset screwdriver. The links will be down below. It can go there if we wanted to. It can even go in here. Usually it fits right there. Right beside this one. Yeah. And it just sits right there, and it looks kind of natural because it's going to ride off at an angle because that's just what it does. But it sits right there, and it doesn't look too bad, and it's not really intrusive on the other tools. So even if it's sitting right there, standing up, you can easily get it back in. We're going to let it sit there for now. Now we've opened up the spot where we could put our beading screwdriver, which I think is important if I had to. I always like to leave a spot out because I can switch out different screwdrivers. So recently I have taken a liking to the Wehas. Especially this number 2 square for installing breakers and things like that. Man, it's a good screwdriver. So it gets the place. Any one of the other Wehas can get a place. They are better probably than the Klein. I hate to say it. They did the 1000 volt thing right. So if you're looking for a good 1000 volt screwdriver, you could get the Veras. Keep in mind this is the biggest Vera that they make. So if handle size is an issue for you, you can just see the difference in the handle size and what's comfortable, what's truly anti-roll. They call these anti-roll, but they're really not. They still roll. These things have a huge flat on them, and they don't like to roll very much. Or they stop. This thing here, it doesn't take very much to make it roll. But we're going to put the beater in there for now. Now recently my Klein hot stick pissed me off. It has too many settings, it has too many colors. It sometimes went on silent, which, whatever. I don't need to be questioning my device while I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the circuit. I don't use these things to verify the absence of voltage. I use it to verify the presence. And then I use a meter to verify the absence. So someone's at they're throwing the breaker, this thing's beeping. They find the breaker, this thing stops beeping. Okay, turn the breaker back on. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, turn it back off. No more beeps. Okay, we found the wire. Now, let's turn the circuit back on. Let's check with the multimeter. Okay, yes, we have voltage. Okay, now turn the circuit back off. Okay, yes, we don't have voltage. That's how you use these. You don't use these and say, okay, my circuit's off and just start working on it. Because you have things such as open neutrals. There's a bunch of different scenarios where power is still on. This one actually has a percentage reading on it, and it is the Testament. It's not bad. It's pretty easy to see what's going on here. It does turn red, and it's got a light on it. It's got some pretty nice features for what it does. It's backlit. It's easy to use. And it's what I use for now. What I prefer, probably the Fluke LVD2. It's like $50, but by far one of the better. If you're looking for some of these, go with the Fleer, go with the Fluke. That's all I can tell you. But this has a place, and but until I get my Fluke, because I'm done with the Kleins, it's going to sit here like that. Usually goes in your front pocket, or up here with your pens, or whatever you're doing in your pocket. It doesn't have to go in your pouch. But it's something that I grabbed a lot of. I grabbed the Klein more this year to see if I actually liked it, because I test all the tools for you guys so you guys know what's good and what's bad. And the Klein did not make the list. I've used this before so many times, and this is the one that I'm going to go back to for now until I get my Fluke. This is one of the last hand tools that I bought, and they did not make the list. They're cool. We can twist screws in half. They get a lot of grip, and man, when you need them, but you just don't need them every day. So if you're doing installs, I hear they're great. Apparently we're accommodating for the newer generation, and we're no longer telling them to use their Kleins with everything, and what they should be using. We're catering to needing a specific tool for pulling out knockouts and certain things, because that's really all you're going to be using these for, would be to grab things. So my thought would be these are for when a screw gets broken, you need to extract it. If you're doing new construction and installs, you shouldn't be finding new screws that you need to extract because you broke them off, unless you're an idiot and you're just breaking off screws. For old work, handyman, DIY, things like that, right? EDC, where you don't have the right size, this is acceptable. There's no reason to ever put something like this on new construction on a new nut to mar it up. There's no excuse, guys. Get the proper tool for the job and tighten accordingly, right? Don't use this on new construction if it's on a finished surface, obviously. But things that are obvious to me just aren't obvious to most anymore. So let me know what you guys think about using this on, newer construction other than knocking out boxes, and we'll talk about it. Everyone will talk about it, actually. You guys are good at that. Gotta have a Sharpie. Don't use it on pipe, obviously. Use it for whenever you're about to knock out a panel. Sharpie on Sharpie erases Sharpie, so if you didn't know that, you can draw on the painted surface and then it's there, and then you draw more Sharpie and you rub it off because it's alcohol based. Seems pretty obvious, but old school trick. You got to have a jab saw. Recently I got my favorite oscillating tool because of the quick blade change out. It's so good, and honestly is. Got a lot of power, has a nice light on it, and just a lot of control on it. But this is the way we did it for years, so we have one, and it folds. And why does it need to fold? Well, because it folds, we can pull out what we don't use often, slide this in, and have it on us, right? You can put it in your pocket and it doesn't spike. There's a lot of reasons why you want a folding jab saw. One of the best reasons would be to protect everything else that's in your tool bag. You got a meter floating around or something in there. You got a meter or something floating around in there. You don't want to be scratching it up. The handles on your tools are just as important as the tools themselves. So you don't want to be cutting up. It's just obvious, protect your investments, right? Folding is what you want. And this one works really good, really strong, has good retention, and no complaints here. Do you go with the stud ball? Do you go with the stud buddy? Basically, it's a magnet that finds the nails and then tells you where the studs are. When I'm cutting in customers' houses, in my own house especially, I use a stud finder. And I do it even when I think that there's no possible chance of there being a stud. For where the stud is, it's on our right. I actually would have thought it was on the left, because by the time you've got a jack and a king and then another stud, man, you're still not close enough. It's like 4 studs across here. That's crazy. We checked. So we're safer to cut on this side than we are over here. I would have thought to cut over here. That would have been a huge mistake. That's why you always use the stud finder. You want to look for fire blocks going horizontal. You want to look for any studs going left and right. You want to make sure that you're in the same stud cavity if you're doing a wall fish. You want to come out in the right spot. This thing's invaluable when it comes to mounting things on the wall or just about to cut a box. You never know. You could have a box back to back that you might not know about on the other room. You might not find a stud. Someone could have cut in a box. You cut your hole, and what do you see? A box right where you're about to put yours. Now you're screwed, right? Get a stud finder. Recently found these Klein gloves. I like them. They are very thin, very grippy, and don't really feel like gloves. They have a lot of dexterity. I think I got these at Lowe's or Home Depot. I can't remember. But they go on my glove holder, which is right here. But they just clip right here, and one goes there. And sometimes you can just loop this through, and one can go on the other one, but I'm just going to put them both on this one for now. And now you got a spot to put your gloves, and they're kind of always there, little glove holders. Also, you got to get tape. Get the 3M. Don't go cheap if you're doing installs and stuff, and you're not just pulling wire, but if you're applying tape for a permanent situation, wrapping receptacle, whatever, go with the 3M. Tape measure I choose is the DeWalt. You can pop off the magnet like that. Kind of hard to pull it off, but once you get it off, you can see where it's no longer lined up with the rivets, and the magnet pops off, and now we no longer have a magnet on our tape measure, so we're not dragging metal shavings on. So for installs and things like that, if you're threading conduit or something and the shavings are just driving you crazy, we can pop off the magnet. And this thing's got a pretty good standout on it. Basically 10 foot is where you need to be strapping conduit. So every 10 feet, we got 10 foot standout right there. And basically that's all that matters. For an electrician, you stand out 10 feet, you're done. Get the 16 because you're strapping every 10 feet. Why do you need a 25 footer? Get the 16, guys. And always count ceiling tiles if you're trying to measure a room real quick, or figure out wiring sizes, or step it off, or use your helper's 25 footer. But if you're running stuff, these things are $1 a foot. So we go through tape measures like Skittles, right? At least I did. They're always breaking. Something's always happening. Someone's always borrowing it, bending it the wrong way. You can hear it go clack from across the job site, and you're just like, get out, right? Someone borrows my tape measure, and I don't even want to do it for the video, but they make it make that noise for you, Dude, we're no longer friends. We got the We-Air control screwdriver. My buddy came over, and I gave him my other one because I have this one brand new, but one of the better control screwdrivers for PLCs. A lot of people say, no, I use the blah, 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 blah. That's cool. I use this terminating, 500 wires at a PLC cabinet once. Really, really good screwdriver. Okay, really, really good screwdriver. And it just fits right there. It's going to sit here. That way, if anyone wants to know what it is, I've got it here. And you guys know what to get. Now, we got the Pick-a-Pin. We got there's a bunch of different brands out there right now. These are the high booms. They come with the lead, they come with the pencil, and they come with the pencil sharpener. So pencil sharpener unscrews from the back, and you can get a nice tip back on your pencil, just like that. And you've got a sharp. You got yellow for the black backgrounds, and you've got pencil for the regular backgrounds, I guess you would say. They're fine, dude. Don't spend all that money on the Pickas. They're okay. The Pickas have a cover on there, and sometimes the pencil gets stuck to the cover, and you're pulling out your shirt, and you pull the whole cover off. And I like these. I really do. And they just clip wherever. So we're going to clip one here. Really, ever do I carry the yellow one around, but it's there. They also got a red one, and they were cheap. It was like $8 for both of them or something on Amazon. I don't know what they are now, but I'll put the link. Anytime you're done making up a receptacle, test to make sure you didn't wire it incorrectly. Make sure you got the ground. Make sure before you leave a customer's house that all their GFCIs work. If you've been working on the circuit, you got to have a GFCI tester. I go to all these inspections for all these new homes, and even like remodels for customers, and the freaking GFCIs aren't working, man. They got hot neutral reversed. Just craziness, right? They're not checking their work. Check your work. Also, with this plugged in, this acts like a receptacle holder. So we got a receptacle holder now, and now we can, do whatever you're doing while you're holding the receptacle, and you're not grabbing the whole thing. And it's just one little safer precaution if you're doing hot work, which you shouldn't do. But if you are, get you a plug tester, plug it in, and work safer. There you go. Recently found this. It's kind of cool. It's magnetic, it's flexible, and it slides on any bit, even your screwdrivers. So like, yeah, you get magnetic screwdrivers too, which is kind of cool. It's honestly great. Milwaukee did a really good job on this. The earlier generations of this kind of had it wrong because the magnet was flat. And it sat right there. And man, it held screws great. Let me tell you, it held them really good. But if you were trying to tighten up a 4-square box or something, you couldn't even see the tip of your screwdriver because you're back here on your impact. So You're back here and you can't even see the tip to get on the screw. This thing slides back a little bit. Now we can see the tip, we can see the screw, and we still get the magnet capability of it. And this thing's, I mean, fairly heavy, heavier than your average screw, right? So kind of underrated right here. Put on your screwdriver, put on whatever. It's not bad. So just to show you, yeah, there you go. And that's heavy. The headlamp for 50 bucks, you get 2200 lumens here. You got rechargeable battery. This thing unscrews on this side. We've got a large 21700 battery here, I believe. 2.7 volts, yeah. It also comes with an insertable AAA kind of slot there. You put 3 AAAs in, slide it in there, screw it in. You're never going to be without a light, because if we can't charge it, we can always just put in AAA. So you've always got a backup. It's got a magnet there, and it's pretty strong, as you can see. So you can snap it to conduit. Things like that. Light up your room. This side here unscrews, and that's where USB-C is located. But the best feature about this is that it's the coast, so you get the almost like a spotlight, and then you get the flood diffusion there, and it is very bright. All right, so next up we got the multimeter. The flukes are where it's at. You're going to get less features, but you're going to get guaranteed quality. I paired it with the twist leads. So the twist leads are kind of a must for avoiding making contact with the yoke of some devices. And they twist and get lower contact there, and they also lock. You get full exposure there. Always check continuity on your multimeter. Listen for that beep before you really start to check it out, because we could have one that's like half unplugged here, like this, not so obvious. And you can see where fluke is almost always going to make contact with some of your cheaper leads, man. If they're not plugged in all the way, they're not going to beep. So fluke's really good about making sure you get contact even when they're barely plugged in. Different leads do different things, so just always check continuity before you go testing circuits and really just anything in general. Then of course we have the toner. Now, not all toners are created equal. You want a toner with a signal strength light here. And what that means is, I'm going to turn this on. Not all toners are going to have a light that varies with brightness, meaning it kind of dims in and out based on how close you are. A lot of toners are just going to be a solid color. You're really tracing with the light on these toners. One of the most important things and one of the most popular videos that I've got here on YouTube is how to use this toner. I'll show you right now the importance of connecting to a ground. So right now you can see where if we dial this thing all the way up, like you shouldn't do, don't do this, it's all the way up. You see where that light's on no matter where we're at, right? We're getting the light without being really close to it. You want to dial this thing in to where you only get the light when you get really close to the source. Now I'm going to show you something really interesting about the ground. We're going to connect this to a ground. I'm going to show you the difference. So without changing any settings now, we have a ground attached. You're going to see just how sensitive this is. We can probably bump down the sensitivity one click here. And you see where we still get our light here. See a light there? If I take off the ground here and we don't change any settings at all, see where we don't get a light anymore. No light. So basically a true ground source amplifies the signal of these, makes it that much easier to trace your wires, and also makes this a lot easier to pinpoint exactly what you're looking for, especially in a crowded box. Now, before I forget, this is a beanie that's lighted. My buddy gave it to me for Christmas, and it's kind of cool, but it does make me feel lightheaded when I wear it, so I can only have it on for a couple of seconds at a time. Hope you guys get that joke. Anyway, it's a lighted beanie, and it's kind of cool, so I wanted to feature it here. So, there it is there, LED lighted beanie. Shout out to my buddy Jermaine. In a second, we're going to show you the better options of with the Klein Mod Box. Maybe better for a technician. Before that, we're going to show you this in a loadout when you're running conduit, because this is still probably one of the better pouches that you can find. So if you're running conduit, you're not going to need your diagonals. Like I said before, these are great install pliers. So we're going to throw these in here. We're going to leave our Kleins in for beading because that's very important. We're not going to need our wire strippers or needle nose. And then our reaming is covered here, and also our channel locks do reaming. And also, remember, our beater does the reaming. We're not going to need our insulated multis. What we're going to replace instead of our bits is going to be a 5/16 that's long and deep. That way it gets inside the back of those boxes. We're going to get a 9/16 for our impact. That's also going to go there. We're still going to leave this because this is probably going to stay on our vest or our pocket or even our shirt like we talked about. Offset screwdriver is going away. We're going to step these up to full-size Kleins. I've actually got a problem with this. And this is why I don't recommend the second generation of the Knipex Cobras, is because this button here actually stands out way too damn far compared to the standard Knipex. And it's just little details like that is why you watch the channel. Sure, they do slide up once you get them going, but the trick is you actually have to get them going. They're not going to slide unless you're all the way open. Now they're locked. You have to push this button still, and then they kind of free slide. But once they lock, they no longer free slide. So you really got to keep them open. Now you're going to hear the click. Now it's clicked. Now they free slide. It's not like they always slide or they always do whatever. They're not as good as you guys think they are. It's hard to explain. You have to watch the Knipex video that I had, but basically these things, they free slide when you first open them, and they free slide so long as you don't lock them. They extend just as good. You put them here and you can drop it down. You can even hold right here as you adjust them to micro adjust. I really didn't see the benefit in the newer style other than the quick slide. But once you quick slide it once and then it's locked, that's it. Put one here. We'll put one there. We're going to take out our bolt claw because we're not going to need that. Hollow nut driver here. This thing goes to 9/16. It's fully hollow, has half, 7/16, 3/8, all the common sizes. Strut is 3/8, strut is also 1/2 inch. You got the 7/16 for your minis and your 9/16 for your 3/8 hardware. And then you can just go right up all thread and do whatever you got to do because it's hollow. We're going to leave the HVAC in one because it's got multiple bit sizes. You never know what you're going to need. And then we're going to add one more thing here. We're going to add this wrench, which is a combination wrench. What's nice about this is it kind of acts like a socket, but it's all one piece, so you can't lose the sockets, especially the 10 mil. You can see where we get the protrusion off, which makes this act more like a socket. So on flat straps where you've got just the nut sticking off of the flat, it's a lot easier to grab onto the top of your fasteners, and it has all the common sizes in this one built in. Klein really messed it up here and put some of the common sizes on the bigger wrench and some of the common sizes on the smaller wrench. This one's from Husky, but I think that the Craftsman is the best one. It's at Lowe's, it comes in a kit. That's the one that I'd recommend. This one's pretty good. What this one is lacking is that the 3/8 doesn't extend off as much as the 5/16 here. So there's that, and it goes right in there. You got room for your pencils and everything else. This is a full set here. Is it heavy? Yeah, it's a little bit heavy. But there you go. If you want to know how does this thing load out, what does it look like? That's what it looks like, and it looks pretty good. Everything's got an individual spot. VETO has done a really good job about having everything have a spot and not like a lot of pouches that nothing really has a home. Everything has a home here, and it's well thought out, easy to find, and frankly fits really well. Proceeds to dump it. That's okay. Honestly, that's all that fell out. I'm not mad. Let's look at the cheaper option for Mellow Tough because we said we would. We got some elastic band on the inside of here. Little retention. Like that. And yes, it is true retention. Okay. Next, we're going to get our Kleins. The Kleins will either ride up here or in here or in here. You guys can figure it out as you go. This right here is so simple you wouldn't think that it works, but it does, man. And it's a really good tape measure holder. It just grabs it every time, most of the time, and it finds it very quickly, and it actually rides it lower so it's not sitting up here. This one here, the tape measure is out loud and proud. It's kind of nice to have the tape measure down here, isn't it? So that's that there. Can't do without the volt claw, so that's got to go in there. How's the retention looking, by the way? Let's see. How does the retention really work if I'm not holding it here? Kleins are probably going to fall out, but you get it. That's why you gotta do your own research. It's like, hey, was Robert actually holding this thing so the Kleins can't fall out? Answer is yes. The difference is I'm not going to BS you on this channel. $20, $100. Just saying. A multimeter, you can do a lot of different things with this pouch. It's kind of nice. Got your pencil here. Got your tape measure there. I do a lot of inspections for a solar guy, and he's got this thing loaded out, okay? And it actually looks pretty decent the way that he's got it. Really, the possibilities are limitless. You've even got this big old loop here that everybody usually hangs their channel locks on and walks around with perfectly fine. Not something that I'm into. If I'm going to call it a slot, the handle needs to be sticking out. I need to be able to grab the tool and I need to be able to use it when I'm ready for it. One thing about Knip-X pliers that I really wish they did better, handle flare out. If they had a handle flare out, these would probably make it to yes on the list. That handle flare out is just so important when it comes to using a hand tool right, and retention and flipping it and it's staying in your hand and whether or not you can beat on it and just a number of things. So be thinking about that when you're picking your tools. Think about how it is, how you grab them, how does that pinky actually help you in certain situations. Even these small ones have a little handle flare out to where you've got like a little natural kind of groove that sits in there. It really does make a difference when you look at the shape of your tools. Absolutely. What's the retention like on this? I know you guys are wondering. Let's find out. Yeah, guys. See, I don't BS you. It's pretty darn good. And we're not holding anything. Like I'm gonna grab this back here. It just stays. So if you're looking for the best kind of quick go pouch, you can clip on and off. Obviously has a kickstand. I've been using it this whole time to present these tools. Also has the clip right there. It's hard to beat this. It really is. This is going to be my ultimate recommendation. I really wasn't sure about spending $100 on a tool pouch, but I'm glad I did. This thing's actually been a joy to use. Let me show you the rolling toolbox options that I use. So we got the drawer style of mod box here. I've got the other mod box that does not have the drawer. The drawer is a game changer, okay? So what's good about the drawer is that you get two. And yes, this has wheels. First off, I like the size of this because we could pull this out if we needed more space. We can also create our own partitions here. The multimeter doesn't move at all, which is great. And neither does the toner. The toners don't move at all either, which is also good. Another added feature about this toner is it uses AAA batteries. It's hard to find 9-volt batteries in the wild. Customers always have remotes and stuff that you can rob the batteries from if you're out in the boonies. That's an underrated tip, guys. Get stuff with common batteries and you'll be a lot happier. Unless you got like a fuel piece or something, then you got an awesome multimeter that is definitely worth having the 9-volt battery. So the question is, how does this thing fit? It's a VETO, so it's usually a little bit bulkier. First thing I do, I take out my tape measure, and if you let it sit at an angle, this thing will close. All right, so the question is, does this close with the VETO loaded? Yes. How does it open? Opens just fine. I've got tape, wire nuts, Wagos, even tornadoes there. Some extra bits and stuff. That goes in there. This is usually where my power tools go. Let me show you that. Do the power tools ride on the rail? Let's find out. Yep, the power tools do ride on the rail. One of my favorite things there. Hook those there and you're good to go. This is the 800 for the drill. I really like the size. I've got the 1007. It also fits in this configuration. There's the 1007 down there. Forgot I put that there. So that sits. Now my multi-tool sits a little bit taller than this box. We could store it up here if we did some modifications pretty easily. But at an angle, it sits in here, and this is usually where I leave it. Just like that. All your other bits and stuff, you notice I got material in there. This is just one tier, right? You can double stack this thing, but what's great about this particular box is that it has wheels, and then you got your mods that can go on the side. In case you guys didn't know, those are actual mod box clip-ons from Klein. And man, they do a really good job at keeping everything organized if you want them to. I mean, look at all that beautiful storage there. They look really good inside the mod box. They work on the outside too. Last but not least, this is the ET450. It's a circuit tracer from Klein, and it is highly underrated. I've used the $700 ideals. I've used the $1,300 ideals. This is just as good as the ideals from 2015 for 250 bucks. It's a very good value. And it'll do anything you need to do, residential, even very light commercial, even some heavy commercial. It can trace just about anything. The leads in here, you probably got about $70 of leads and adapters in here alone. And then you've got a powerhouse of a circuit tracer. Just really, really good. Works just like the toner with the ground trick that I showed you. We're just going to do the blade into the hot here. That's the hot side. We're going to plug the black into the ground here. That's all I got. Let me know what you guys think about the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.